Okay, welcome back to CAD That Works. Today we're going to create a parametric drawer handle. I already had a video on this on how to basically install the inserts and make it custom, but I'm going to go into a little more detail on how I actually designed this handle. So go ahead and open Onshape, hit Create Document. We'll call it Handle Detail. Create. So first thing I'm going to do is just sketch out the general profile of my handle. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Sketch, select my front plane here, left click, orient it to the front. And let's go ahead and hit line and then Q. And it's going to make a construction line. We'll just mirror this about the axis. It'll save us a little bit of drawing time. So then hit Q again. Oh, hit L. And let's draw out the basic profile of that handle. So let's start here. Draw it up. Draw a line over. We'll stop there to center. I'll hit L again to get out of there. So I'm going back over this way. Draw the bottom of the handle. We'll come up a little bit. And we'll just angle it over. And dimensions don't really matter right now. We'll figure that out later. Okay, so there's half of the handle. So what I'm going to do is just left click and hold. And select all those entities. Go up here to mirror. There you go. Mirrored that. So let's go ahead and set the let's set the variables first. What we're going to do is we're just going to click here and we'll call that, so let's not do a variable for that one. Let's set that to 5/8 of an inch. Make that 5/16. Make that 1/4 of an inch. We'll just make this angle here, we'll call it 15 degrees. Now one thing we want to do, we want to define our hole to hole dimension. So the way I'm going to do that, lots of ways to do this, but I'm going to just do a point. If I hover over there, I'm going to get that halfway midpoint of that sketch there, that line. I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to hit D for dimension. Click that, click that. Okay, now it just gives me some dimension. I'm going to make that a variable. I can do that right in here during the sketch. I'm going to call that hole center to center. And we'll make that 3 inches to start off with. Okay, and then the other variable we want is the handle height. So we'll hit the number button. That starts defining the variable. Handle height. We'll just make that 1.5. Okay, so that sketch is done really. So then the next thing to do is go up to extrude. Select that. We're going to select our sketch number 1. And we can make the depth of that, how far it's going to extrude. You can see it's doing that right now. We can make that a variable. So we're going to make that, we'll call it handle thickness. Hit enter. And let's define that as 3/4 of an inch. Okay. And there we go. We got your basic handle outline there. Finish that extrude. Now to clean it up like I did the other one, we're just going to add some fillets. Let's go up here to fillet command. Keep it at 1/4 of an inch. Keep it simple for now. We're just going to select those edges. You can do those edges. Let's not do that last one. Let's not do that one for right now. We'll do under here. Under there. We'll add some more fillets. A much smaller one called a 1/16 of an inch. And one thing you can do is you can just select that face and it'll do all the edges there, which is pretty nice. I don't want that because, see, I don't want that fillet necessarily on the bottom. So I'm going to undo that face extrude there. I'm just going to select this edge here. Clean that up a little bit. Okay, so, and there you have it. You got a parametric handle. Let's go ahead and add our insert holes. And you'll see a lot of 3D printed handles out there, and they just have the screws going right into the plastic. That will work for a little while, but I much prefer to use the brass inserts because they're way stronger. You could reuse them, and they work pretty good. So let's go ahead and define the center point there. So we had that defined before. So I'm just going to hover over the midpoints of each of those sketches, and then they kind of give me a little snap to point. Do the same thing over here. Hover over there. I'm not even clicking anything. I'm just hovering over it. And Onshape kind of just lets me snap there. So let's do that. Let's define our holes. Circle command. I'm going to hit the E button to make those equal so I don't have to mess with them independently. Hit the D button to dimension. Now, this depends on the threaded inserts you're using. Usually it will have right on the package what your, call it your pilot hole should be. I was using 832 thread brass inserts off Amazon. I'll link to those down below. But let's go ahead and make those 0.22. Okay. Select, extrude. This time I'm going to make a hole, so I have to remove it. And you could also use the hole command, but this works just as well. So I selected those sketches. Now the depth of those per the packaging needs to be 0.36 inches. All right, now I'm going to add a tiny little chamfer there. I feel like it kind of helps with the insertion of the inserts. Very small chamfer, just personal preference really. And there you have it. That is the parametric drawer handle. Now again, if you wanted to add some sketches or like a text to the front, you just hit sketch, you select that top surface there, orient it to the top, go up to text, and we'll just draw that out. We'll just write, add that works. All right, now let's center that. We're gonna hit D. And you see it already gives me the midpoint of that text. So I'll click that, and I'll click that center plane. I could also do it coincident, but we'll do it like this. And let's set it to be, about 3/16 off the bottom there. Okay, select that. Now, right now I just have a sketch. That would not show up if you were to 3D print this until you actually extrude it. So hit extrude, select sketch number 3, and we'll just do that 0.06. Now you could have it like this. I plan on printing this starting from this face. So to make that turn out a little better, I'm going to make that a remove instead of an extrude, so it's actually inset to the handle versus sticking out. Either way would probably work and be okay, but again, personal preference. Select that. There we go. Parametric handle. Put your custom font on there, your text, whatever you want. Designed for brass inserts. Again, if you like this content, please hit like and subscribe and let me know in the comments if you'd like to see anything else.